Housing and Urban Affairs Minister Hardeep Singh Puri's wife and former Indian diplomat Lakshmi Puri has sent a legal notice to so-called activist Saket Gokhale over his tweets questioning the sources of income of the former ambassador. The legal notice sent by Lakshmi Puri through her lawyer and Karanjawala and Company Managing Director Raian Karanjawala. We speak to him on Republic TV this evening. One of India's sharpest legal minds, Mr. Raian Karanjawala, Managing Partner, joining us on Republic TV. Mr. Karanjawala, help us understand why Hardeep Singh Puri's wife, Lakshmi Puri, has sued this so-called activist over these tweets, and why are they malicious according to you?
Very simply put, before I get into what the tweet was and why it's malicious, let me just give you a little bit of a background of my client. She joined the Indian Foreign Service in 1974, in the same year as her husband. And people say that her career has been as distinguished, if not actually more. There have been, however, two principal differences in the career. One is that Lakshmi, unlike Hardeep, actually topped her batch. She came second in the All India certificate, in the All India administrative exams. And again, unlike Hardeep, she did not continue throughout her career in the Indian diplomatic service. Hardeep remained till the end, as long as he was a bureaucrat, in the Indian diplomatic service. Lakshmi worked for 28 years in the IFS, that is up to the year 2002, and then directly worked for 15 years at the United Nations. Now, that actually will explain away the whole tweet controversy in a second. Simply put, it's like this. Saket Gokhale made an allegation in a tweet of his that somewhere in the year 2006, the Puris bought a flat in Switzerland, for which they made a down payment of 4.3 crores. And the question that he asked was that, look, her husband, Mr. Hardeep Puri, was a serving bureaucrat. He would have earned at the most, per quizits apart, about 10 to 11 lakhs a year, or 10 to 12 lakhs a year. Lakshmi Puri would have earned the same amount. So how was it possible for them to go ahead and buy the flat? The answer is very simple. And if only Saket Gokhale had checked out with us or asked us, we would have explained it to him straight away. His facts were totally wrong. She was not on deputation to the UN. She was actually working at the UN on a UN salary from the year 2002. And the salary was, and we put it in our legal notice, $200,000 US, on an average $200,000 US a year. So she had the means to buy the flat. And the other thing to remember is that Hardeep Puri has now seen 2 Rajya Sabha elections. So every election you have to file a detailed affidavit indicating very clearly what properties you have and how you have acquired them. All of this has been done. It has stood the scrutiny of time. All that Saket Gokhale had to do before he tweeted was to simply send us a letter saying that I'm going to make a tweet of this kind. Do you have an explanation? We would have simply said, you're factually wrong when you say she worked for the Indian Civil Service in the year 2006. From the year 2002, she was working for the UN on a UN salary, and she had more than enough money to go ahead and buy the flat. That's the complete answer. And that's where the whole issue stands. Now, since morning, I've been inundated with a series of tweets or a series of messages saying, sir, take him to the cleaners, finish him off, this, that. And obviously, Saket evokes a fair amount of antagonistic reaction. But I personally, I don't know him, though I've been following him on Twitter for months now. And I just wish that as a responsible activist, as he claims to be, he would have just checked the facts with us. That's all. I'm quite sure that had he written to us, seen our reply, he would not have given the tweet that he gave. And I think it's even more, it's even more important for him to check his facts, because he's an activist who, as I have seen from his own Twitter account, admittedly gets funding from a crowdsourcing platform. So, when you ask people to contribute to your cause, then you do need to show a fair amount of, a further level of responsibility before you make allegations. And let me tell you one thing right here and right now. We are not here for vengeance, not at all. If there is a redressal, if there is an apology, the matter will see a quietus. Otherwise, as sure as night follows day, we will see him in court. And I also want to make one thing very clear to you, that this is not about the money or how much we're going to get suing him. We are very clearly going to say in the plaint that any damages that we get, if we get any damage, will go directly to the PM Cares Fund. It isn't going to go into Hardeep Puri or his wife's coffers. This is about honor, this is about reputation, and on that, there can be no negotiation.
It's funny you said that, and the reason I'll tell you, Mr. Karanjawala, you said that it will go to the PM Cares Fund, because I remember there was a controversy around the PM Cares Fund, and this so-called activist you mentioned was one of the prime architects of the series of tweets that were put out on PM Cares Fund. Now, that's another subject. But coming to this particular subject, in the notice you write to Saket that he continued to send out tweets, put out tweets in order to create a false narrative and give details of your client's income. And it's very detailed. You've said, and I quote, "UN incomes are tax-free. What is stated in her income tax return is a taxable Indian income. Further details of income and sources for both her and her husband are also detailed in the affidavit filed by her husband, Mr. Hardeep Puri, who is a public representative. Financial information is available in the public domain." Now, why do you think this mischief was done in the first place?
I can't answer that. I mean, I don't know Saket Gokhale. I'm not his lawyer. I can't really say why he did it. Maybe maybe he just thought that there was a story in it or there was glory in it. I have no idea. But certainly, it could have been tweeted after some level of checking out. Normally, if I'm going to make an allegation against you, what is the standard practice that the press follows? Very often, they send a letter and say, "Look, we intend to write a story. This is what we intend to write in that story. What do you have to say?" We would have in 1 second answered it and said, "Sorry, you're barking up the wrong horse." Because you say that she's got an Indian income. She doesn't. She's working with the UN. She's not on deputation. She's working with the UN. She's getting $200,000 a year. That's it. It answers everything in one stroke.
Yeah, and one last question. You know, this shoot and scoot strategy of many such so-called activists, Mr. Karanjawala, is something very dangerous that we're seeing in these times. When on social media with I wouldn't say considerable amount of following, but you'll have a blue tick and you'll have some following, right? And then you get to make these sometimes wild, absurd claims, and you hope to get away with most of it. And your real intention may be to tarnish someone's image. Do you think the time has come to sort of counter such attempts? And do you think the legal, battle is one such way of ensuring that this doesn't go on?
Yes, I do think so. And look, frankly, what do we normally tell our clients when they come to us to seek a defamation? I normally say that, look, if I don't think it's serious, I say, look, it's there, but it'll die out in a day or two. Let it go. But there are some things which just can't be let go. And I agree with my client, Lakshmi Puri, that this is one thing that just can't be let go. You can't, ultimately at the end of the day, you have to remember, these are middle-class people who have worked their way up in the system. She sat for an exam, topped it. In the days when all the brightest people in India used to sit for that particular exam. You work yourself up the hierarchy. You become an ambassador to Hungary. You then go ahead and join the UN. You end ultimately as the former Assistant Secretary General at the UN and the Deputy Executive Director of UN Women. It's a very high post. You don't get there unless you have very hard work, very great credentials, and the highest levels of impeccable integrity. So when someone casts a slur on your integrity, then the time has come to say enough is enough. Apologize or get ready to go to court.
Mr. Karanjawala, thank you for speaking to Republic TV.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pleasure.